media is the way to really tell your story, whether you are still working in corporate or you're side hustling and you haven't quite narrowed down your purpose. Welcome to another episode of the See Life Different podcast. The See Life Different podcast is a podcast for women by women, but also for promoting diversity, accessibility as well. So this episode is being live streamed, and I'm going live for the first time, and I'll admit that I'm scared because I haven't used technology in a very, very long time. But I felt for those who have been listeners of the podcast, watchers of the podcast, supporters of my photography journey, supporters of my author journey, want to know an update. So I definitely wanted to make sure that you all get an update. So definitely save this video, share this video, watch this video with others as I really tell you what's new in the world. This episode is being recorded the month of May, which is also Mental Health Awareness Month. So I want to give a shout out to Silence the Shame. Silence the Shame is an organization founded by Shanti Das, and you can learn more about Silence the Shame right now.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and Silence the Shame is on a mission to empower and educate communities on mental health and wellness. To learn more about the organization, visit their website, silencetheshame.com. Subscribe to the Silence the Shame podcast, available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Also, check out and subscribe to Silence the Shame TV on YouTube to see past community conversations, webinars, and more. To show your support, please consider donating by texting SILENCE to 707070. or at silencetheshame.com.
All right. So May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we are all about mental health. Silence the Shame was founded by Shanti Das. And to learn more about Silence the Shame, visit silencetheshame.com. And Silence the Shame has podcasts, YouTubes, apps, you name it. You may also donate and support the nonprofit cause by donating and texting SILENCE to 707070. I have been a huge advocate for mental health since I've been a cancer survivor, pretty much. Since I've been an author, since I've been divorced. So many things that I've been through that I know you all have been through, and especially with this pandemic, we need to prioritize our mental health. So learn more about Silence the Shame by going to silencetheshame.com. Alright, moving on from that. Yes, if you can see from the title, I currently live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But to get a little bit more specific with you, it's Muskogee, Oklahoma. Oklahoma? That's what you say? Oklahoma? What you doing in Oklahoma? So here's the backstory. August 2021, I came home from Dallas, Texas. If you listen on a podcast and if you follow me on social media, you know that I moved to Dallas, Texas. I went home June 2021 for my dad's birthday. He's a summer solstice baby. And while I was home, they were like, hey, we want to go on a road trip to the West. We just want to go west. So I'm like, okay, cool. You know, I was raised to love travel by my mom and my dad. We went to several states. On my YouTube page, there's a few clips from each state, but the one that really, really stood out to us was Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma was something that was not even supposed to happen. It was June 2021. Of course, there was Juneteenth, and then the 100-year commemoration of the Black Wall Street Massacre. If you don't know about the Black Wall Street Massacre, that's going to be a whole other video. I wanted to learn more about it, right? I wanted to go there and learn more about it. And so I said that to my parents, let's go to Oklahoma. Let's stop over to Oklahoma. The end goal was New Mexico and Mexico. So that's the end goal, right? So we went from Tennessee to Arkansas to Oklahoma to New Mexico to Texas. We kind of had to stop in Texas for a little bit, Brownsville, Texas. Then we crossed over the border to Mexico for about 2 hours, right? If you count the time hanging out in the customs border line. But we went to Mexico. But the biggest part that stood out to us was Muskogee, Oklahoma. Why Muskogee, Oklahoma, right? You probably are like, where is that? What is that? The Muskogee, Oklahoma is actually 45 minutes south of Tulsa. It's a huge part of the Cherokee Nation, the Muskogee Creek Nation. So Native is truly, they advertise it as the heart of America, and it truly is the heart of America because it's right smack in the middle of the U.S. So if you look on Google Maps, you'll see that for yourself. But it's also truly still the heart of America. There's still so many Native American land, not Indians, Native Americans. They're called Native American because they were here first. We learn our history, and speaking of learning history, I've been so wrapped up this last year, especially since the pandemic, my own identity. Right? Who am I? As a Muslim woman who wears a headscarf, as a cancer survivor who has a prosthetic eye, and also as someone who had Cherokee Native American in her blood as well. So it's been a great journey here to learn about myself. And that was another thing that we were excited about when we moved here. And next, and probably one of the most important aspects, there's lower cost of living here. I kind of knew about it because I am an avid traveler, right? I'm an avid traveler who is well connected with others who just travel and have lived in other countries or have traveled to 10 plus countries like myself. So I found out about this program called Tulsa Remote. So what it is, they promote and encourage those who work remotely to live in Tulsa and still work remotely. So there's a few of my fellow travelers who I knew were living in the area. And I found out that there truly is a lower cost of living. That was an added bonus. We did our research. My mom and I are both researchers, so we did our research. Now, as of this video, we've been here for 3 months. Yeah, as of May 19th, we've been in Muskogee for 3 months. So we went from finding out about it in August to working our way to get here, and we've been here for 3 months. And we were so blessed, also super blessed, because we moved here right before the holy month of Ramadan, which is a fasting month. Which is very close to the time of Lent as well for those who practice Lent. And, we were able to not only get a, 2-bedroom, 2-bath with a patio and a wash and dryer hookup for like $800, brand spanking new too. You know, we're so blessed to have a brand new apartment. They just remodeled it and nobody else moved in. It's been an amazing blessing, as well. And I say we because my mom and my dad is a Vietnam veteran. And so when we first came here, we also noticed that there's a lot of Vietnam veterans here, right? So just to give you context, the context is Tulsa is the city, Muskogee is the suburb, and Muskogee is definitely the laid back, super friendly lifestyle. And if you want city living, you want a coffee shop, some kind of nightlife, you drive 45 minutes up the toll road to Tulsa, Oklahoma. We are here in Muskogee. It's like I said, lower cost of living. That's super, super exciting. And yes, everybody's like, but wait a minute, you're right there in Tornado Alley. And I'll be honest, I would say maybe just because it's not tornado season yet. The only thing is the weather is just as bipolar as any other place right now. I mean, global warming is probably affecting every other state. So we have not had any problems. And plus, I am from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Any natural disasters don't scare me. And my dad is a veteran and my mom's been around the U.S. It doesn't scare us. We know how to be prepared for anything that happens. So that's basically why we're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So if you want to learn more about Muskogee, want to know what else is super exciting about Muskogee, Google it. But here's a little known fact that I will tell you right now because I'm a Black history buff. Bass Reeves. He's been portrayed in many, many Western movies. And he's definitely been portrayed in the Harder They Fall movie on Netflix. Bass Reeves, the most historically known, like sergeant, right? Western sergeant. This is back in the day before when you had, the detectives and police that you could trust. He was that guy. And so it's Black history that you need to research, and that'll be a whole nother video that I will talk about the history of Black Wall Street, the history of Bass Reeves. But right now, I'm just giving you those brief life updates. So moving on next. Yep, I'm here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and really the past year, I've technically been working remotely. Believe it or not, for those of you who have read my book, Seeing Life Through a Different Lens, you know that I've had the same car for like 11 years. And believe it or not, I sold my car. I sold my car for $800 as well. How about that? How am I feeling about that? I'm still grieving. It's still like a death, like a divorce as well, because that was my baby. You know, we've been through so much together. Why did I sell my car? Here's another life update for you. Since June 2021, I've always had this 5-year plan of how can I travel again? How can I continue to travel long term? Long term meaning in 2016 was the last time I left the country. And I went to South Africa and Germany. And I was there all together for a whole month. But while I was there, I really got a taste, a sneak peek of God's life for me. And so I've been planning, how can I do that again? And it just so happened to work out. I've been so heavily into personal development, professional development, I've had therapists, I've had coaches, I've been in online courses to really get back to me, right? Get back to who is that creative Z. You know, I've had 11 years as a professional photographer, turned brand strategist, turned digital marketer, turned coach and consultant. And all the while, my biggest impact has always been portraits of whenever I travel internationally to third world countries or places in populous countries that you know of that you may not know of, right? So I know my story has always been my biggest level of impact is not only talking to and encouraging and empowering creatives, Black minority creatives, but also travel photography. If you read my book, Seeing Life Through a Different Lens, you'll just see just how much travel has impacted my life. Thanks again also to my parents. Thanks again also to my Vietnam veteran dad. Lo and behold, drum roll, in June 2022, I will be speaking at my first international speaking opportunity at the Travel Blogger Exchange. Travel Blogger Exchange has been around for over a decade, and it is the biggest networking event and conference and content creating event for travel photographers and creators. And I get to speak on my story. I get to speak on storytelling. I get to speak on branding. And I'm going to be speaking June 6th through June 10th. If you don't know the schedule yet as of this video. If you are a travel media person and you want to attend, the discount code, 25% off, the discount code will be linked in the comments, in the chat, in the description. But it's experts25. Experts25. If you go to TBEXCON.com and search for Europe, and when you register, your code is experts25. That's that. I say all that to say of it's such a blessing also. They're covering the flight, they're covering the hotel, they have a changeable, flexible round trip flight. This is the year of diversity being no longer shrinking in diversity, no longer shrinking in accessibility, no longer shrinking in your purpose. And that's exactly what I've been doing. I think I say all that to say really because life has been good. For the most part, life has been good. How have I been doing? Really, honestly, since October 2021 when Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp had their shut down for hours, that was my pivot. Right? We've all been pivoting technically since 2020, but my pivot was October 2021. I remember clearly there was a photography conference called the Photo Cookout. I was a speaker there in 2020. So I decided to come back and watch. Thank you also to the Photo Cookout. We got previous speakers got to come online and watch. So I was in the midst of, online watching, the conference and I log on to Twitter. Twitter is my most favorite social media network. That's where I go to find out my news. So I'm on Twitter. Everybody like, is Instagram and Facebook down? And what did I do? I didn't flinch. I'm like, oh, here we go again. But that was my pivot, right? I've spent also the last 10 years being on social media. I'm that millennial that was on social media before everybody else was on social media. I'm that millennial that was making little MySpace pages, making my music playlist. And here we are almost 11 years later. I'm really kind of finding how full circle everything is. For me, when Facebook and Instagram shut down, I stopped posting. Really, that's probably why it looked like I went nowhere. I'm like, where's Z? But I'm good. I'm here. I'm really on YouTube. I'm on my podcast. I'm all about membership and community. I've enjoyed spending the last 11 years building community, right? I value relationships. I love my people. I think about legacy all the time. I try to treat people the way I want to be treated. I try to treat people as if I were to die tomorrow. So I'm always thinking about that when it comes to social media and how social you really want to be. That's where I've been, and that's where I want you to just kind of follow my journey. And this is how I can still help you. If you are, my music community is always going to be there, right? Because music has been one of those things that saved my life, like literally. And I've been so blessed to also, I guess I could say it, continue to save lives in the music industry as well. You know, I've been making my impact in the music industry, and that's never going anywhere. I think for me, next is Africa, right? People are finally noticing Africa. I've been noticing Africa since I first stepped on the motherland in 2011. That's next for me. And as far as my whatever community, photography community, I'm still photographing, yes, but I think I've finally gotten out of my head of imposter syndrome and knowing that I am known for my travel photography. I enjoy my travel photography. So now that I have acquired all these skills over the last 11 years, you know, I finally have kind of had that pivot. And now I just gotta take action. I'll still be traveling. I'll still be photographing. I'll still be working with music. I'll still be having marketing and consulting clients. It's just now it's finally all in one. If you're wondering like, how else can I continue to work with Z? That's it. I've been focused on membership communities. I've been focused on communities, and I've been focused on really putting all of that into my woman-owned, operated digital marketing agency, Focus Media Group, with a PH. Because yes, there's going to be a little bit of photography. Yes, there's going to be a little bit of digital marketing. Yes, there's going to be a little bit of podcasting as well. Media is the way to really tell your story, whether you are still working in corporate or you're side hustling and you haven't quite narrowed down your purpose. So that's me. That's how I can help you. That's why I moved to Tulsa. That's what I've been up to. And that's me also prioritizing my mental health. So that's what's going on. And really the best way to keep in touch is sign up for my email list. If you go to my website, currently I'm still rebranding myself. So you still have my public speaking and consulting website, Zaakirah and I'm. Or if you want any creative services, branding, photography, design, podcasting, that's Focus with the PH, focusmediagroup.com. Or if you're still trying to figure out where you want to go, there's tons of resources on my podcast, See Life Different Podcast with Zaakirah and I'm, based off of the name of my book called Seeing Life Through a Different Lens. It's a cancer survivor's memoir on overcoming adversity with resilience. But if I could republish that book, I would change that subtitle to a positive guide on surviving life, a positive guide on overcoming any kind of adversity and finding your true self, because that's what this journey has been about. That's what my purpose is, trying to help you to do same thing, right? I want you to really live your life, literally live your life as if you were to die tomorrow. And for me, that means you tell me your dreams. I'm asking you to paint that picture. What is your dream life? If you had no constraints, no limited beliefs, no imposter syndrome, what is your dream life? Maybe it's too hard to think about the 5-year plan right now. Write out the next 365 days. What does that look like? Do you need help talking and hashing that out? That's where I come in as your consultant. That's where I come in as your coach, your mentor, your accountability partner. So if that's what you want, leave a comment. I'm here for you. I'm very social on social media, so I don't bite. If you have me on social media, if you're connected with me on social media, please do. If you're not already connected with me, please go ahead and connect anywhere. Search for Zaakirah and There's so many Zaakirahs out there now. Like what? I got so many twins, but Zaakirah and is me. And I look forward to hearing from you and continuing this conversation. And thank you so much for watching.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. Be sure to subscribe, follow, and download so you don't miss the next episode. If you want to learn more, you can visit ZaakirahNayar.com. That's ZaakirahNayar.com. Do you have any suggestions on a topic you want to be talked about? Or leave them in a review. If you love this episode, be sure to share it with your friends.